Normally when I do these podcasts, I get bios on the people that I interview, and I look at what they've done and where they've been and who they are, and I always want to make sure that I get a good understanding of that. Well, I don't have to worry about that today because the person that we're going to interview, I've known for over 25 years. I've walked with her. We've had a journey together professionally in different organizations over the past 25 years. So I have witnessed her leadership. I've witnessed how she impacts others. I've seen the incredible influence that she has. She has partnered with me. She is a partner in our business. And I am excited to introduce to you today the president of Eagle Consulting, Melissa Jackson. And if you can't tell by now, I am a big fan of Melissa Jackson. So Melissa, welcome. Thank you for hanging out today on Crossing the Line. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Larry. It's a privilege and an honor to support you today. Looking forward to this opportunity.
I appreciate you doing it. People need to hear from you, not only as a leader, but as a woman leader. You're a mom, you're a wife, you navigate a company, an international company, and have for years. It's been successful, and that's something to talk about. But more importantly today, I want to talk about you. I want to talk about you crossing that line from your head to your heart and your heart to your head as a leader. And so thanks for inviting us into your life and being willing to do that. Let's start though. Let's jump in and take care of something that's very important. That is you, because this podcast is first and foremost about leaders. It's about you. So I need to ask you, how are you doing during this crazy times, this pandemic, this racial tension that has consumed us, and rightly so, with this evil of racism. But yet we're locked in again. And at the time of this recording, numbers are going up and things seem to be kind of going in the wrong direction. But how are you doing, Melissa?
I appreciate that, Larry. Very kind for you to check on me and think about my family as well. We're doing well. It's been a very difficult time, very hard time. We've had to find our new normal as a family. We've had to find our new normal as a business and figure out our new rhythms. So it has been difficult, to say the least, but we are in the midst of really making some headway in really trying to move in a new direction. So even though it's been difficult, there is some excitement of trying to grow things at a new level currently.
All right, Melissa, I love your spin. I mean, even through this, you're spinning that, finding opportunities to move forward. I love that. That's what makes a great leader. They take challenges and turn them into opportunities. And it sounds like that's what you guys are doing. But I need to before we move on and to this, talking about you, I need to talk about somebody more important than you for just a minute. And because you are a mom, you have a beautiful daughter named Ellie. Would you tell us a bit about Ellie? Because if I'm a fan of Melissa, I'm a super fan of Ellie.
Well, you sure are. And Ellie is a super fan of law. So Ellie is doing well. We're in the midst of trying to figure out school and what are the next steps and what does that look like and what is the information and data that we're currently getting and how do we problem solve that. So all those things are going on and we're not quite sure what direction we're going to head, but we will be heading in some direction. So she's doing really well.
I love it. For those of you that don't know, Ellie is 8 years old, and 8 years ago, Melissa and Kelly brought this treasure into their life from Taiwan, and she is an amazing, I'm a little prejudiced, but she's an amazing young lady, and love her so much. And thanks for giving us a quick update on Ellie. I know these are challenging times for all parents. What are you going to do with school? Do you go? Do you not? Do you wear a mask? Do you not? So I know that's been difficult, but you say it's an opportunity, huh?
It really is. It just creates a lot of conversation around what is going on in our state, in our nation, in our world. a lot of conversation that you don't have all the answers to, but you need that dialogue to be able to talk about what is this and what does it look like for us. So most difficult for everyone, difficult for families with kids of various ages in school. So it's a different day. It's a very different day.
It really is. Let's kind of turn the corner if we can, and let's talk about you. You are a mom, of course, but you're also a very established leader and have been for years. You've been leading in this company over 25 years and really grew your way up to that leadership and ownership of this company with me. And it's been a journey. But even before that, how did you do that? What characteristics does it take, especially being a woman, to advance in leadership? I want to talk about that, but I want to go back and understand a bit about who Melissa was as a child. And tell us who you were, how you grew up, and perhaps some takeaways from that season of your life.
Mm. So going back to being a kid, if you could imagine, acres of open field, if you could imagine rows of pecan trees, acres upon acres, that was the framework for me growing up. So I grew up on a pecan farm in South Georgia, and really to parents that this was their hobby. And so you can imagine just kind of their work ethic and their expectation behind that. But growing up on a farm was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. I have three older brothers, the baby of the family, and the mode of the day was get it done, and there was always a lot to be done, and a lot to make happen, and it was going to get done, and we were all going to pitch in and be a part of that. And so my history growing up was really kind of dig in, jump in there. It was my responsibility to, even as a kid, and make the job happen, get it done.
I've never seen anybody work harder than Melissa Jackson. You have this strong, incredible work ethic. I mean, that allows you to persevere like I've never seen. Is that where that began, out there on the pecan farm?
Maybe so. Maybe so. Definitely a foundation. I can think back to stories where we did not have much at all, but we had to problem solve. We had to be resourceful. We had to work hard at looking at, what else can we do on the farm, and and complete whatever was ahead of us. So maybe that is where that started, and maybe got refined over the years.
Yeah, so take us through that. You're the baby girl. You have three brothers, and you're now you're on the farm, or perhaps you've moved somewhere else. You're up in your. Who were you in that teenage years of your life? Who were you?
Wow, that's a great question. As a teenager, aren't we all trying to figure out who we are at that time? So that's such a unique, time, of life. But who was I then? Some qualities that kind of made me who I was. I was about people, cared about people, cared about being a go-between with friends, being an advocate, continue to work hard as well. Had a job, always had a job, always in school, working hard with whatever was going on in school and in clubs and things of that nature. And so, as a teenager, probably some of those things rang out as well. And, just staying focused on being able to learn, to grow, and deal with the pieces that were going on in my life as a teenager at that time.
I'm finding a pattern when I talk to these leaders, and you've just articulated it beautifully, is that through their growing up years, they all struggled. They all had to work hard. Nothing came easy. They were not afraid, and in fact, they were expected to work hard. And you've said that hard work, and then as a teenager, you understood and applied that to this love for people. Talk a little bit about being an advocate and how that propelled you to where you are today.
Mm. So I've always, just had a heart for that person that was trying and needing an extra push. That person that had some challenges ahead of them, but needed someone to help remove some of those obstacles. Um, that person that didn't maybe have the tools or the skills, but wanted to be able to accomplish something. So being an advocate, I think, has been part of my DNA, part of just my makeup and who I am, and and propelled me into that profession of really helping other people and walking with people through different seasons of struggle, and on a professional level as well, to be able to help people look at their life and look at things that are going on in their world, and really look at options and choices, and to open up that aspect of their thought processing so that they can make decisions and move forward. So being an advocate or support to undergird other people has really been a calling for me, a calling of my life.
And I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there. That advocate kind of thought process that you have developed and that helped define who you are. You became an advocate for adoption, and you adopted a beautiful child. Um, in the midst of what we are experiencing and all of this that we've experienced with racism, how has that affected you and your daughter who is Asian? Has that caused you to have conversation just as a leader mom? How have you dealt with that with Ellie? Have you dealt with it with Ellie? Have you noticed even some of that affecting her because she is different than perhaps even her peers or those that she's in contact with when we can be out. But how have you dealt with this issue with your family?
That's a good question. These conversations that we've had about her ethnicity, didn't just start in the last 6 months. We've been talking about that since she was, goodness, probably 2 years old, when she began to realize that our skin was two different colors, and have questions about that. Ellie was placed in my arms when she was 4.5 months old, and so we have a lot of history together, and got to be a family early on, and so that that aspect of knowing something is different between the two of us, started early on, and has been a responsibility for us to talk about that and encourage who she is, and encourage her ethnicity of being Taiwanese American. And, those conversations continue, and will be something that we will celebrate, will be a part of. It is a part of us as a family, and who we want to be. And so those conversations are going to continue into her teenage years and into her adult years. But things that have gone on in our nation over the past few months, it raises the awareness that we need conversation, and we need communication. We need to listen. We need to understand others, and we need to understand how they feel, and we need to be able to validate where they are, and really walk through life together and understand each other at a deeper level, because we are humans, and everyone needs respect.
Wow, wise words from a wise leader. To validate, to walk, to understand, to respect. At the end of the day, that's incredible wisdom. And as a woman, as a woman leader, Can you talk to us about what have you experienced? Because we talk about bias, we talk about from a standpoint of ethnicity, but there's also bias from I think possibly from a gender standpoint. And you have been successful. You are successful. You're a very successful, prominent leader. You've influenced other leaders literally across the world, and you run a company now that's global and impactful in leadership. How have you struggled? What are some things that you've struggled with to get? You didn't get here today just by coming in and sitting down and taking the reins. I've watched it. I've witnessed it. But share with us some of the struggles that you've experienced as a woman in leadership rising.
You know, there are various struggles that women have with working hard to grow their leadership and to be in a position and to provide support of others in that position, and it can be difficult. It can be very difficult. I think part of understanding that environment and understanding that issue is really figuring out, what do you do with it as a woman. Understanding that that's real, and that it happens in various situations, in various environments, subtly and very outwardly. But really learning, what do you do with your behavior when those things happen. So as a woman, I think I've had to watch and learn and listen and figure out, how am I gonna respond? My personality will lend me to a certain pattern of behavior, and I have to be careful with that, and I have to be aware of, what do I want to learn from this situation, and how do I want to respond? And sometimes it means being in the moment and being able to have a voice in the moment. And sometimes it means stepping away from the situation so that I can look at it from several different angles and really choose my response at a later time. But being a woman in leadership, lots of women can tell you that they feel disrespected at times. They feel unheard at times. They have a tendency to have to be stronger and harder to get their point across. And understanding this helps us understand the environment, helps us understand what do we want to do with that. What do I want to choose when I feel like that's going on.
You and I have talked about before this respect issue, where in order to be heard, sometimes perhaps women feel like they have to be hard. And then when they're hard, or when they react in a certain way, then they get a label. They get labeled as over emotional, or they get labeled with the B word, or whatever. How have you balanced that in your own leadership of knowing how to walk that tightrope?
Well, I hope I'm balancing it. I really do, but I hope I'm balancing it. But that it's a difficult tightrope. I think part of you has to get to that place too, where you don't personalize those things. You don't overreact to those types of things. That you really use it as some data points. To be able to choose how you're going to respond. So, yes, women can, when they have to be strong, have to be direct, have to be straightforward, have to be bottom line. That can come across to others in a negative way, and you have to figure out what to do with that. Does that behavior help the situation, or does that behavior actually work against you? And I think there's a time and place, and really the wisdom is being aware of who you are being aware of your environment, being aware of who is in your environment, and what's going on from a dynamic standpoint, and what's my best path behavior. Obviously, being able to slow down and think things through that way sets you up to be able to choose your response versus being poked or triggered and reacting in a manner that you don't want to.
Love that. Choose your response. And ask the question, what is my best behavior? Talk a little bit about that. Are you telling me that we can actually choose our behavior?
Yeah, we are, aren't we? So, it is a choice. I don't always make the right choice whatsoever, but it is a choice, and we get those options. A lot of times I talk with my clients, male and female, about what can you control and what can you not control. And of course, that applies to all of us individually and to myself. Really being aware of what is it that I truly can control in various circumstances and situations, and what can I not control. Obviously, I can't control other people's behavior. Obviously, I can't control their response to me or to others. What can I truly control? And at the end of the day, we all know that's just ourselves.
Wow. So you, if we could just learn from you, and let me ask you some practical things as well around leadership and leading a team, because you've led a team through this difficult time where everybody had to go home and we had to do this Zoom thing or Teams thing, whatever we call it, whatever platform. But you made a hard pivot with your team. You made a hard pivot from being face-to-face seminars to these virtual seminars. You lead a team of executive and leadership coaches who have had to make some changes, but not maybe quite as many. How have you led this team through this difficult time, and how did you lead them through this hard pivot? Can you give us some ideas and some help around when we need to be adaptable and change? How do we do that?
Mm. Well, I have the incredible opportunity to lead Eagles, just strong leaders. And so, that's a wonderful piece that you have these people that are eager and desire and, really want to do what's best for their clients. And so, that is just a benefit. And so, we have had to recognize that, we've got to stay relevant, and we've got to pivot, and we've got to bring value to our clients, and we want to bring value to our clients. That's our mantra and what we want to accomplish. And so, realizing that together, being able to get on the same page and get alignment in our team so that we could change, and we could change quickly in our organization has been key. And having people that we have relationships with, and we want to be able to support our business clients at a strong level during this very difficult time. Having that drive and that desire has really propelled us forward. And they have done the work. They have really dug in and really created solutions and brought forth new structure to make that happen. It's one thing to want it and to see that that's what we need to do. It's another thing to really create the path so that change can happen and this pivot can happen. So I'm not saying that it's been easy at all. Any change is difficult in whether you're a small business or a large business, but we've been able to do it. This team has brought forth the next step, the desire and the ability to make those changes.
Well, answered like the servant leader you are with humility. I also know your team, though, took that hard work and the ability to dig in, if you will, from you, and you've led that beautifully. And I would say we are in the process of experiencing that transition right now under your leadership. It's still it's a journey, but I want to ask you this as we kind of turn the corner and look to closing our podcast. Melissa, you have the opportunity to speak into the lives of aspiring leaders. You have these leaders, women, men, whoever. You have the ability to give them some help, just a couple of things they need to remember. What would you say to the aspiring leader who's trying to make it? They're trying to figure it out. They're learning. They're growing. What would you say to them? What do they need to know?
Mm. I would say currently, there's one thing that comes to mind, and in dealing with my clients, I'm seeing this, and that is this exhaustion
Mm,
that everyone is going through. These leaders are working so hard to problem solve, to deal with their business climate, and to deal with their task force, their employees. Um, there are so many shifting pieces and so much going on and so many plates that they're spinning currently, not to mention just how this impacts them personally. And so what I would say to those leaders out there is that you need to be able to be aware of where you are
mm,
on that continuum of exhaustion, and to know that we know this isn't going to end soon. This isn't we're going to be finished with this at the end of the year. This is kind of a new rhythm to operate in. And so I would say to those leaders, check yourself, check your exhaustion level, and be aware of where you are. If you're on fumes, be aware of that, and be able to take some time to catch your breath. It
mm,
seems impossible to do that right now.
mm.
I know it does for a lot of leaders, but we do know that this isn't a short term issue. This is going to be a longer run, a longer journey. And so we really have to be aware of those pieces right now so we can help each other and we can support each other at a deeper level so that we can continue this race, because we know this race is long term.
Beautiful. And I want to close with a personal story and ask you to tell it to just to prove about the transparency and vulnerability that you bring to the table as a leader. And this exhaustion piece is so real. Recently, because you are a leader, an incredible leader, you led your family through an exercise of things that y'all were going to work on, things that and everybody had something and they were going to draw a picture of something that they were working on. And I think this will really impact and help our leaders. Would you share what you said you were going to work on, not only professionally but personally in your home? What did you draw that you were going to work on?
Mm. Yeah, so we were trying to just kind of give some description to where each one of us were and what do we need to be aware of and what do we need to make sure we're doing. And so mine was a pause button and a hand pressing that pause button. And so what does that mean? That means that we as leaders need to know when to press pause. I think that we can be on it and be focused and be in it, and working so hard, and we can miss signals and we can miss the awareness of when to press pause and how to, and then how to step away from it.
What a great example of crossing the line, of knowing when to lead from your head and your heart, taking the time, having the wisdom to step away, to renew and allow yourself to refresh so that you can go back in and do the things that need to be done. We got to take care of our heart, got to take care of our soul. Thank you for that. Melissa Jackson, you're amazing. Thank you so much for giving us your time today, for teaching us, for sharing a bit from a personal standpoint. That's just an incredible story. You are a wonderful leader. It is an honor and privilege to walk this journey together with Eagle Consulting, and I thank you for crossing the line. Just know that you are truly making a difference. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Larry. As always, you're a tremendous leader, and we appreciate how you challenge us and help us grow.
Thank you.